before we get started, if you're new here, I'd like to preference that this isn't a review or a regular retrospective or anything, but my opinion on the game. And this isn't just any game, but a game I love near and dear to my heart. Love just like all the other Xenoblade games. But with that being said, my opinions on this game are definitely a little different than most people, so I ask that you watch this with an open mind. And slam the like button for me. It really helps the channel and shows me that you like me to keep uploading these scripted videos. You're probably not seeing this on my birthday, but I am writing this script and talking to y'all on my birthday. So there's also that. But anyways, Xenoblade 3. A game from my favorite franchise of games of all time, only being rivaled by the Persona franchise. And to be quite honest, I really had to learn to love this game. When Xenoblade 3 came out, it was sudden and I hadn't known about it since I barely kept up with gaming news at the time. I had bought it while I was on vacation and started playing it. And quickly I already knew that just like Xenoblade 1, this entry would shine mainly in its story, with this S-rank voice acting and presentation. The world that we're exploring this time is known as Ionios, a place stuck in a constant loop of life and death. People have to kill in order to go on living, and on top of that, their lifespans are only 10 years, until they're duplicated but without their previous memories. And this is all being orchestrated by a group known as Mobius, which are coolish, but they pop up so much, they kinda lose their flair. Xenoblade 3's story is amazing, but the world didn't really capture me like the others. It makes sense that it would be more gray and mellow than the other titles based on how grim the premise was. However, even then at times I felt like the game was trying to go for another art style, but they decided not to go all the way in, and this is what we got. Now don't get me wrong, I don't mind how the game looks on its own. We all know comparison is the thief of all joy. But with this being my favorite game franchise of all time, I really couldn't help but compare it to the other games. And I mean, Xenoblade 3 is a game based on fusing the world of Xenoblade 1 and 2, which I thought was a really cool concept. And how the game looks and gameplay has nothing to do with how beautiful the cutscenes are. Probably having some of the best cutscenes out of all 3 games. But getting more out of the way of what I didn't like about the game, it was mainly the early game. The early game to me was the slowest and most boring out of all 3 games. The side quests were mid, unless they involved heroes. And to be honest, it was just way too predictable. In the other games, I was kept on my toes about what was going to happen, but in the early game of Xenoblade 3, I knew that if the group was in trouble, it probably had something to do with Mobius. And these villains, while evil, were really just that, evil. They weren't really flushed out. I think the only ones that stuck out to me was Mobius D, since he had a sick design and was the most reoccurring. And this man literally kept a collection of dead corpses. Bro was freaky. And obviously you got Yorin and N and M. But I'm kind of leaving them out since they're more than just Mobius, as they had significant plot points outside of just being a member, whereas the other regular members of Mobius were kind of stale. And this is definitely going to be a hot take, but this entry also had my least favorite cast of characters. They're all really good and sweet when they're together, but I think it suffers kind of like Xenoblade 1, in the sense that the game has a really good story, and a really good main character, who also has a good main character girlfriend. Noah and Mio are really the drive for this game, just like how Shulk and Fiora was in their respective game. And I feel like it's more apparent in Xenoblade 3 as the whole game is centered around Mio and Noah, with them having some of the best moments in the whole game. And I'm not hating on that. I'm sure the scene where Noah was calling out to Mio in the jail cell had us all crying. I was genuinely bawling my eyes out. But damn, I wish the other characters got fleshed out more. Uni and Tyon had a pretty good dynamic, but I still would like to see more of their story. And Senna and Lance were some of the characters I was most interested about. But I feel like they definitely didn't get as much shine as the others. Especially Senna. She gets almost no character development. And when she does, it's shared with another character known as Gondor. And while yes, you can learn more about Senna's character if you do some of the side stuff, I feel like it's kind of a letdown that it wasn't explored more in the main story. And speaking of Gondor, I honestly feel like she could have been on the main party. As low-key, she was my favorite character. She has some of the biggest personality in the whole franchise. And I'm not just saying that because she was calling her mom the B word, which was kind of crazy.
Still hate the fact that Bitch Queen sent you.
But honestly, those were essentially my biggest gripes, and it took me a while to progress through the game. I feel like where the game really picked up was its last 3 chapters, chapter 5 through chapter 8. So basically when you get to the Erythia Sea. And once you hit this location, boy, the game takes a jump. Prior to this, the group learns about regular humans and how life works, and it was such a touching cutscene. They get to see how beautiful life can be outside of the pointless killing, and how you can actually connect with another human being, to the point where it can create another life. This also brought tears to my eyes, and it's where you learn about the true nature of the world and what they are. How the whole time they were really just duplicates of their past selves. And seeing the characters take this in was low-key kinda sad but inspiring at the same time. Later they would be captured by N and M, who resemble Mio and Noah due to them being their earlier duplicates. And boy are these great characters. The tragic story of being afraid to lose someone you love is something we all go through. And back when I played it, I could relate so strongly to this, and I still can even to this day. Some people want the now to last forever, especially if they feel good in the moment. And that's the route that N took, striking a deal with Zed in order to be with M forever. Even though this isn't what she wanted at all. And N ended up becoming twisted the longer he lived, not reflecting the main Noah at all. It takes various fights and heartfelt moments for him to really come to terms with himself in the end. And when all is said and done, N and M help defeat Zed and banish him once and for all. I like the idea of Zed being more of a concept than a person, the manifestation of everyone's negative feelings and anxiety wanting to stagnate the world. It's a very real thing and not something explored a lot in JRPGs or media. And before I go on, I gotta briefly mention the combat. One thing that Xenoblade 3 did do better than the other entries was the combat, I won't lie. The Ouroboros forms were really cool and added so much variety in clutch situations. That and the amount of classes and party members added so many layers it was crazy. And don't even get me started on the chain attacks. They went from being semi-confusing in the other games to fun as hell in this one. I honestly couldn't get enough. And it also had my favorite character from Xenoblade 2, Nia. And I love how Melia and Nia were portrayed in this game. You can tell they've grown quite a lot and play way more important roles in the society now. And actually act like it, surprisingly, being the core representations of the previous games. Nia being Agnes and Melia being Kevis. And then of course there's that one big reveal where my boy Rex was confirmed to be getting cheeks from everybody. Like, I was actually geeked when I seen this, but honestly it was never a surprise. I never doubted my bro. The old characters kept that same spark and it was honestly amazing to see them again. And the story wraps up pretty nicely. But it was sad seeing the world split again, since the party seemed to be really attached to each other, going from not being able to trust one another at the start to becoming best friends and lovers for some of them. A big part of me wishes they can all just be together again, and maybe they will in the future. And speaking of the future, I still haven't played Future Redeemed, or any Xenoblade DLC for that matter. Mainly because I'm cheap, I won't lie. But I really need to tighten up, because I heard Future Redeemed was really good, and I'm pretty sure y'all probably want me to cover that sometime. But with all that being said, Xenoblade 3 is an amazing game. Sure, it may be my least favorite due to the game not getting good until the last 3 chapters in my opinion, but when you finally get to the high points, boy they hit, pulling tears right out of my face. And having hype battles the series has never seen before, it's honestly amazing. And even though it's not my favorite, I can see why it's the favorite of so many fans. I mean shoot, it even has our fellow giant monkey. How could you not like it? And if Xenoblade 1 has the best story, Xenoblade 2 has the best world building, then I'd say that in my opinion, Xenoblade 3 has the best presentation. One of the best in gaming actually. Everything was so consistent it was actually insane, from the tragedy to how the world repeats itself, even being so consistent that it got on my nerves at times with how frequent Mobius was, even though I guess that's in line with the repeating cycle. Makes me wonder if the devs actually intentionally put that there for the game's core themes. Regardless, I feel like Xenoblade 3 was a great game, to not just be good on its own, but to honor the first 2 mainline games in the series. And I can't wait to see what else Monolith Soft cooks up in the future. Love y'all, and I'll see y'all in the next one. Peace.